Hello, welcome to the Sheep Seats. I'm your host, Matthew, aka Sheep, aka Dark Sheep, and I am here with my friend Jason. You know him, you love him, WooWooJTrain, which is still weird to say every time you say it.
What's up, man? How are you?
I am excellent. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on, man. This is gonna be fun, as it always is.
For those of you who might not know, go check out. I did bad prep here. That is the name of your YouTube channel too, right?
100%. Yep. It's the same everywhere. X, Twitter, YouTube. It's all the same.
He is out there. He is in the streets streaming drafts, baseball drafts. If you're, I guess I just assume you're here. I'm really bad host sometimes, but I assume you're here to watch some MLB best ball on Underdog. We got some hot ice. I don't know what that means, but what's up, Will? Crew's here. We heat up the ice cubes. The white rabbit. Wish I could still do these in my states. Ooh, that's rough.
You just gotta cross the border, rabbit.
I don't know what to do. Dale's here, ready for baseball content. Me too. I will admit that. We're gonna hop in here. Bullpen. See how many people we need. I think Jason's already in. We got an unknown error.
Oh, cool.
Phil, do the little reload trick and. All right, we need 4 people.
Sweet.
But I don't know about you, but I was not ready to draft. I was appreciating the break. I took kind of baseball or football best ball season off. So I don't know. I liked the downtime, and I wasn't quite ready for it yet.
Yeah, I hear you. I was a little burnt out. Like I was just kind of like walking to the finish line last year, and it was nice to just sit back and enjoy the baseball season. And then, the in-season contest started, so I was drafting that, and then playoffs, and I was drafting a little bit of that. I was burnt. I did like 10 NFL drafts and advanced, 0 teams because I'm bad at football, but it's still fun.
I did 29 and advanced 3, so I'm glad I did not go in as deep as I did previous seasons. But obviously very happy with the in-season stuff that happened this year with the Dog Bowl.
Yeah, dude, that was just so cool to watch. I was just, it was maybe like 2 p.m. and I'm checking box scores, and I knew one of your teams, the one that wound up finishing 3rd. So I'm checking individuals. I'm checking on Saquon Barkley and these chalky guys. I'm like, oh my God, this dude has a chance. Like, this is real.
It was intense. All right, so you pull the pick number 2 here. We fill her up. Let's see. We got Crew 1982. Opt-out's been in quite a few drafts lately, and they are making some interesting teams. I think they're autoing.
Yeah, I think they're autoing too.
Dr. Juice is in here. The FF Child's in here. What's up, Matt? Hope you're having a great time out there. I know you've pulled back from the online presence a little bit, but it's good to see you in here drafting some baseball. But I said I was tired, and in the last, getting back and starting the Stacking Dinger stuff. Obviously, if you're here and you haven't subscribed to Stacking Dingers, where you're not going to be friends, but go check it out. That's the show that I host, the pre-recorded show. Last week had an awesome episode with Vlad Sedler, Ryan Bloomfield, Casey Bubba, and it was kind of a meta episode talking about how to digest fantasy baseball content, partially from an Underdog perspective, because there's so much of it out there that is just not Underdog focused.
I've really enjoyed that episode, by the way. Well, opt out immediately the Ohtani, and I'm going to go Judge here because they're the clear one too.
Who do you have a clear one?
No, it's between one of those two. I like with Ohtani. I mean, we saw what he did last year, just hitting. Like is him pitching at all? Is that going to affect his offensive output? Like you wouldn't really think, but I mean, his power speed combination obviously is insane, and he put up just gaudy numbers last year. So, um, whoever in that the best pick to me is the third one because whoever you get, Otani, Judge, or Soto, I mean, you just feel amazing with that pick.
That's fair enough. Yeah. I have gone Judge and Witt so far at one.
Okay.
I'll admit to being scared. Another surgery for Otani on the shoulder. Pitching, like how much of the steel is going to be there? I know I'm going to regret it though.
Yeah, I feel like so this is draft number 31 for me. I
Okay.
think I've only gotten the 101 one time.
Got it.
And Otani did fall to me at 2 one time. So I think I have 2 shares, but if I get the 101, I'm just going to take Otani because it's basically the only way that you can get any exposure to him.
Yeah.
Whereas all the other guys, like, you can get Witt, sometimes at 5 or 6 if people are just going heavy outfield. So that's just kind of my current plan is if I get the one, I'm just going to take Otani because it's probably the only chance I'm going to get to draft him.
That makes sense. I don't know. Last night I did take Witt first, just to see what it felt like, just see what the kind of that build. I'm still in very much an experimental phase in terms of how I want to build this year. And I don't know, ADP is pretty set already at the start, so trying to get some different starts and just see how I feel about it. Once we can readjust when the dinger opens, but now maybe I want to be a little more open-minded.
And I think this is the perfect contest to do that with because there's no, the bat's not out or whatever. So we're just kind of drafting off feel to a point.
Yeah. Speaking of feel, let's do something I have not even considered doing. A couple of aging stars here, aging in quotation marks. We're going to take Mookie and Freddie together.
Cool. I love it.
I've not done that. I don't think I've really been in a position to do it. But let's try it. And then let's queue up some Dodgers.
Yeah, that's going to set up. There are some very nice stacking partners later. So
they're all late for the most part.
It's pretty crazy actually. That Max Muncy ADP is kind of wild to me.
Yeah. So I haven't drafted for, I don't know. I guess I did the one last night, but I didn't go too deep dive. Tommy Edman has shot up. Mm-hmm. He was like my favorite 20th round, one of my favorite 20th round picks when I did my first burst of drafts. But yeah, I think all of these guys are super duper interesting.
The only one on that list that I struggle. Well, I'm not really a Conforto guy, so I don't really know if he's going to be an everyday guy, but I have such a hard time drafting catchers that are going to be purely catchers.
Sure.
Even if it's Will Smith, like he's a great hitter, but he's not going to DH ever because Otani's going to DH. So if you lose, a start or two in a crucial week, that can be detrimental. But he's a very solid hitter.
What's up, Josh? And we saw a very down year last year for Will Smith relative to what he had done in the past. Is that an off year? Is that just, catching wearing down on him? Not sure. But when it comes to Dodgers, I'm and just potential output, I'm willing to take him in the last round. I don't think I've taken any Andy Pies. I've probably queued him up every time I take a Dodger, but I don't know that I've gotten to him. And I haven't really drafted since they signed Michael Conforto. And 2 years ago, I had a lot of Michael Conforto. That's a guy I need to do a little more research on.
Yeah.
What to expect out of him this year and what the playing time is going to be like. Are they going to sign another outfielder? I don't know.
I'm going to do something kind of crazy here, I think. Right. And it's not that crazy, but I'm gonna take Harper over Vlad.
Okay.
Like Harper did fine last year. Like he put up 1,400 points in this format, but I mean the dude is capable of going absolutely ballistic, and I know Vlad can too. But I don't know. I just not much of a Vlad guy for some reason. He put it together finally last year, but he just seems to kind of underwhelm me. I don't know why.
Sure. I've been getting a lot of Matt Olson over there, but he went kind of early tonight.
Yeah, he would have been the target there for me.
Hey, Matt. Welcome in. Yeah, because you can follow him up with Ozuna or a Harris, depending on who's available.
Yep. I'm going to go ahead and believe in Jackson Merrill here.
Okay.
I've got a couple teams that I have stacks with Jazz, so I want to make this one a little bit different because I don't want to pair the same guys together over and over, especially with a guy like Jazz who has had some injury history. Just gonna have fun with the young guy Merrill here. I like that.
Yeah, I've said it already a few times on Stacking Dingers, maybe on my stream. I can't believe Jackson Merrill's going behind Churio and Langford. That doesn't make sense.
The Churio and Langford thing. I got my Churio exposure when the contest first opened because you could get him in like the third round, knowing that his price was going to increase. And he's borderline undraftable, the cost that he's at right now. I would just rather do some other stuff.
Yeah. He's not undraftable for me, but I totally get it. I think Langford has a massive power upside.
Mm-hmm.
Merrill has a full consistent season that we've seen with power and steals. And I think Churio is kind of the lower end of the power upside with the steals. So I think in this format, it's Langford, Merrill, Churio in that group. But
there's definitely a world where Churio pays that price off. Like I'm not going to suggest that that's not possible. It's just very typically I'm taking an outfielder with my first round pick if I can. If I'm in the back half of this draft here, I'll take an elite infielder and then pair him with like Julio or something like that. I'm never gonna reach to grab Churio, and he's usually gone by the time I would probably want to click his name.
I do think this outfield group is like from Ian Happ to like Christian Yelich, I think is the same guy in some cases.
Yeah, there's a lot of great names in there.
So what do we want to do tonight? Should we play some classic hits here? Should we play the Riley Green, who I'm having a tough time paying this price this year, but we're going to do it on this one. Let's see. Let's do a speculative. Oh, I didn't even read that news, but let's speculate on Teoscar going back to Dodgers on this stack. I didn't read that news. Working on deal with Dodgers 10 days ago.
You would somebody's losing playing time there. That would probably hurt Pages.
Yeah, Pages, Outman. Right?
Yeah.
Conforto.
Yeah, I think if they re-sign Teoscar, this is just my like immediate gut. It kind of makes those three much more questionable. Conforto, Pages, Outman. It makes them very, very questionable at best.
Yeah,
because if they're all going to like trade playing time or whatever, if they're all going to be worked in here and there, and Teoscar's going to be in the lineup every day, like that just.
I mean, at that point, Outman's at AAA.
Yeah. Which I mean,
because the other two are lefties. They've had that role, that lefty role, the Jason Hayward role. That seems like to be the Conforto role in that case.
yeah, I wonder if they'd entertain moving Outman, because like them signing Conforto to me is like, I don't know, maybe they don't believe in Outman all that much, or maybe they don't think he's ready yet. I don't know. That was a weird signing to me, the Conforto thing.
Yeah, I agree. I just think he fits that Jason Hayward lefty role to me. The vet that they can cut loose and not worry if he's doing bad.
Yeah.
I want to point out this Pisante. If you're drafting last year, can you imagine getting an Olsen, Riley, Alonso team?
Yeah, that would be pretty incredible. I have quite a bit of both Olsen and Riley. Their prices are still up there-ish, but I think they're a little discounted for what they can do.
Yep. I've found myself putting together Atlanta stacks and minis often. Founded off Olsen than Riley. I think I think he's clearly got the more consistent upside, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
We saw a season, kind of 2 seasons out of Riley for upside, but I think Olsen is the potential, the 40 home run guy.
Well, and Albies is another guy who I'm getting to a lot, and he feels a little too cheap at 52, especially like with how I'm building a lot of my teams right now. I go outfield heavy. He feels amazing as a first or second infielder in this late. And I went with Luis Robert there. I hope.
Sell me.
I have to sell myself, honestly. Okay, honestly, because that offense is horrible. I feel like he just kind of just gave up last year. Like, I wouldn't blame him. I don't necessarily want to accuse a player of doing that, but like, I wouldn't blame him if he did, because they were just so god awful. But the talent is there, the power, speed there. They had him running like crazy after he came back off of the injured list. And that's something that I've been waiting for. Like, that dude could easily steal 40 or 50 bags if they would just let him run. But they don't let their guys run because they always hurt their legs. I don't know. I don't know if it's the training staff or what, but the White Sox have the most lower body injuries of any team in baseball, feels like. So, if he can stay on the field and they have him running, he'll probably still hit 30 home runs, and he can steal 40 or 50 bags, especially with the new rules and all that. I truly believe that, but that's like ceiling scenario, but that's what we play this game for, right? A ceiling outcomes. So I felt like I wanted another outfielder in that spot. I don't have much of him, so I just wanted to get him on this team.
Okay. And then you did take Elbies there. Opt out is making a 3-pitcher build there out in the first 5. This, I will say, this is a pretty late Paul Skeens pick for from what I've seen.
Yeah, 18. Yeah, it's shaping up for me right now to be a close my eyes and hope Paul Skeens doesn't murder me kind of year, because I
absolutely
don't know if I'm going to have any of him, honestly. And that has nothing to do with him. It's just a structural thing. I just can't sacrifice the bats to get a pitcher in there. I just can't. So, it's one of those guys, though, like if you sneak him through the playoffs and he happens to get a 2-start week in the championship week, like you're golden. But I think you severely hurt your chances of getting out of your pod with investing that much capital into any pitcher, really.
Yeah. Yep. Talk about all the time the ability for a pitcher to separate from the field. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that can, but how much is it? Crochet goes there. He's been on the rise since the trade. I think I saw like 5 extra wins pretty much similar stats projected for him in with the field change and the competition change. But like 5 more wins. Obviously, wins are pretty much impossible to project, but
right. They're easier to project on the Red Sox than the White Sox, though. That much I can tell you. So,
all right, kind of a lot of interesting options here. Part of me wants to. Yeah, why don't we do it? Why not? We got this double pick. Let's go with the Milwaukee pair here. I've not seen them put together very often. I feel like Contreras goes, and then Yelich kind of sits around for a while. Seems like people are afraid of Yelich and coming off the back injury. I'm also afraid. Yeah, oh, your hand's up.
Yes. Yes.
I'm also afraid, but I'll put on my Brewers fan lenses when I keep clicking his name.
I had 0 of him through, I want to say 25 drafts for that reason. Back things always freak me out. But incidentally, talking to you actually kind of got me back on Yelich a little bit. So I've got a couple of shares of him. If he's healthy, he's just a smash at that ADP, I think.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, you're saying actually, the pick is probably Brandon Nimmo there. He's the consistent guy there, the weekly ceiling guy, been healthy. But this is a very interesting group in Yelich, Adolis, and Randy. I think all guys who we've seen fall this year, and even with the outfield premium. Randy going to Seattle is, just Seattle just sucks up right-handed power.
Yeah.
And he wasn't exactly hitting the lights out before he went to Seattle last year. And Adolis is a guy I've always been off of with the late breakout, high strikeout profile. I think he's an awesome dude to watch. I hope he's okay this year and that we just like some lingering injuries and stuff. But I think that's an interesting group of 3 guys that I'm kind of grouping together in my head.
My favorite out of those 4 that just went is actually Adolis Garcia. And he's a guy that I have had virtually 0 of the last 2 years because his price was ridiculous to me.
Mm-hmm.
But in the 6th round, getting a guy with 40 home run upside, I mean, he only flashed it once, right? 39. But still, he's the guy with the most variance there. Like, he could easily lead all 4 of those guys in scoring, and he could very easily be the worst of them. So, real quick, I'm on the clock here, and I am going to grab a pitcher.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to go. I just keep clicking Yamamoto's name.
Okay.
This is a dude who we were drafting in the 3rd round last year.
Mm-hmm.
And
I wasn't, but some people were.
Some people were. Yes, I was not as well. But the only thing that he missed a few starts because he got hurt, whatever. But then he had that start, and I think it was the World Series where okay. That's apparently why they signed him, because he was absolutely just destroying. That's a lot of talent here in the late 6th round. Always have concerns about the Dodgers going with a 6-man rotation to limit those 2-start weeks, but like week to week, when I look at him compared to some of the names in this range, I could easily see him leading all of these guys.
Yeah, I'm still having a hard time getting there with the potential, the 6-man there. But as kind of a conversation that's been having is even if teams aren't saying they have 6-man rotations, a lot of teams are, full rest plus a day for a lot of starters.
Right.
It's kind of just how the game has gone lately.
Yeah. And my next pick there, Aaron Nola. I am not a Nola guy, but he is criminally underpriced right now. Like, this is a guy who's going to give you 200 innings. He's going to strike out a person per inning. He's going to have a ERA 3.5 ish. So he's not going to give up too many runs. I don't understand why we're getting him in the 70s, but I have had a very difficult time not clicking his name.
I mean, it makes sense with where he's going relative to other pitchers, but I get the sentiment there. Yeah, he seems boring, but I think that he's a little more exciting for what we need in a pitcher through the long season.
Right.
And pairing those two guys together, I think, is an awesome idea.
I like having 5 hitters and then hitting a pitcher or two. That feels correct. It feels, as we like to say, directionally accurate. Can we talk about Roki Sasaki real quick?
Sure.
So I believe that you have been virtually completely out on him so far. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Mostly? Okay.
Yep.
I have not been. I actually have quite a bit of him. And
Okay.
my reasoning is purely a price speculation thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he's an amazing pitching prospect. I know he had the injury. I know team is probably going to monitor his innings, but he's just a guy I want some of because I think he's going to be so good. I do not think his price is going to decrease. I would be floored if it doesn't increase by 12 to 20 picks after he gets signed somewhere.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm not going to be drafting him. So I'm kind of getting him now while he's cheap, and then I'll probably back off when his price goes up.
This is the highest risk of high risks by Matt here. DeGrom plus Sasaki.
Oh yeah.
You might get 100 innings total out of those two guys.
But what if he sneaks through the playoffs and 20 of those innings come in the playoffs cheap?
What if they don't?
Yeah.
I mean, the 100. Oh, let's see. We're on the clock. Let's see. Hunter Green, I don't get at this price. He's another guy that has been so very inconsistent in innings. For him to be going this high over Glass now, who, it just doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah.
But we're going to pair a couple of workhorse guys on this team, Framber and Logan Webb, who you're a workhorse till you're not. But,
yeah.
I think that's how we're going to start here.
Those two guys at the top of your rotation kind of like they give you comfort to take some risks later because, following historical paths with them, you kind of know what you're getting out of those two pretty much every start. You're going to get a useful start almost every time out. So, I mean, you can delay getting pitcher. You can target guys like Kumar Rocker, who, we don't really know if he's going to break with the team or how he's going to look or whatever, but very high upside arm with a lot of risk.
But have you considered this? Less innings, less negative points earned for earned runs. That's smart. That's smart. No, but back to Sasaki. I was listening to Bubba and the Bloom today. They were doing some interviews with guys that help put together the Baseball Forecaster book. One of them specifically is a guy who tracks the East Asia players, and he said Sasaki, the upside is Paul Skeens, right? Like he can be Paul Skeens. That he's 23 years old. There's a lot of question this year. That's basically what he said. He's got 400 innings through 4 seasons in the MPB, which if we get 100 innings out of him and he's as good as Paul Skeens, he's smashing this price.
Yeah.
Does he struggle as a younger guy coming from Japan? we've seen, the older guys in Yamamoto and Imanaga do fairly well coming over. Like, yeah. So the there's a ton of. He's a best ball pick. So maybe
Yeah.
I should be not ignoring him because of the upside, and that's something every year I'm trying to get better at. Oh, all right. He's sniped on glass now. There.
Yeah, that would have been really fun to have Yamamoto, Nola, and Glass now. Let's see. That really put a damper on my fun. You know what? I am confident enough in my ability to build a team that can survive some time without Strider. That's my play. So, I think if you take Strider, you have to have a 7-pitcher staff. I mean, that's the only way that it can work.
7 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's one of those guys, kind of like Acuna, actually, where like I'm not drafting him too much. I'm over the field, but it's purely if I just get one of these teams through, like I'm different than the rest. I know that I'm hurting my advance rate by drafting Strider here in the 8th round. But if this team gets through and, I'm one of 8 people in the semifinals or whatever that has him, like I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay. Are you also overweight on Acuna?
Slightly. I think I'm at 12%.
Okay.
Slightly.
All right. Yeah, I haven't gotten
the Acuna thing. I think the only way that you can build a team and like justify it is to start with an outfielder and then have your second be Acuna. He can't be your first one, in my opinion. That's how I'm building. So, I'm going to go ahead and grab another guy who I have a ton of that I think is just way too cheap, and that's Royce Lewis. Like, he's gotten tagged with people are having PTSD from Byron Buxton, I think, with him, and maybe overreacting a little bit.
I think they're properly reacting, but go on.
I mean, it was truly. I said it on my stream this week. I used the word funny. I don't mean like haha funny, but we just kind of like look at the possible scenarios that could have happened last year for him in particular. To go down in the very first game of the season for like 6 to 8 weeks was borderline laughable, But the guy just, I mean, he can hit and he can put up numbers very, very quickly. And again, we're playing a game for ceiling outcomes here. And, if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. But I want the guys on my team who can put up points in a hurry. And he's definitely one of those dudes.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, he wasn't exactly good either last year when he was there at the end of the year. Is that lingering health? I don't know. Is it just coming in late in the season? I don't know. This is where I liked taking him last year, 100 or so, and I think he was earlier than that. So I get it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I get it. His price definitely got to a point last year. I was like, I can't do this. Especially, I think in the end season contest, he was like a 3rd rounder or something. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. But 9th round, going into the 10th round ish. I mean, there's worse names to click.
Like Ezekiel Tovar, who I've done a complete 180 on the guy. I don't know if it was rostering him too many times in dailies, but he is just too much of a free swinger.
Yeah. He's a fun player, and obviously he hits in cores, so that's attractive, but I don't know that I've drafted him once this year.
No, not at this price.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Brenton Doyle going 70. I like putting them together, obviously. The high-end outcomes of them both doing well are pretty high.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that at all. All right. Let's see. What do we got? Okay. we got the boring guy, so we're gonna get a guy who I can't stop.
Yep.
Every year
Nope.
until he stays healthy for a whole year, and he's a first or second round pick.
Yep. Can't
Third
stop,
round
won't
pick.
stop, sheep. I'm right there with you.
We're going there. Looking at filling in an outfielder here. Someone I haven't taken at all yet, but I think had a nice turnaround to the end of the season. George Springer, just mostly filler here. Soler as an Angel, not Atlanta. I don't love. Was big on Soler last year. Maybe I'm feeling a little bit of pain for that.
Yeah, I have quite a bit of Soler because I have a ton of Mike Trout, and so he's just a nice outfield stacking partner. The Springer thing is interesting. My player take on him that goes back to last year, and I'm sticking to this year, is I think he might be dust.
Yeah, I get it.
I see the point. I mean, he's going to lead off in Toronto. That offense should be good. Like, especially if Bo Bichette, who's really cheap in this contest, if that dude bounces back, like they can do some damage. But I'm just not fully convinced that George Springer's very good anymore. So, and I don't feel like he's a guy, like if I full fade him, I don't see him just ending me,
Yeah.
like he's just a solid piece who's going to be on base a lot. He's going to accumulate, but I'm not worried about him in the playoffs kind of vibe. So
yeah, 35 years old. Still projects to be slightly above average. Basically, you're paying for name still for him.
Yeah. Name and probably like the mystique that surrounds the Blue Jays. Like they theoretically
mystery.
Yeah, well they should be good. Like Bo Bichette and Vlad and Springer and all, like they should be a great offense, but they just kind of aren't.
Yeah, I feel like they're missing 2 or 3 pieces to really. I mean, Varsho has always been a guy I've liked, coming off a shoulder injury and already, kind of struggling before that. I can't. I'm having a hard time getting to him this year. I do think that. I mean, I don't know how real the Soto to Toronto actually was. They were in it, quote unquote. But I am curious, like if like that happened, what we'd be thinking about the other pieces on the team.
Yeah, accurate.
Yeah.
Like if Soto is in that lineup, I mean, it makes everybody better. I mean, we're seeing it with the Mets. Like Mark Vientos is starting to rise, and a guy who I had a lot of last year, Francisco Alvarez. He hasn't even been on my radar now, but it's like, okay, well, he's going to be in an offense that contains Juan Soto, and they're not out on Pete Alonso either. So if they get him back too, it's like you're looking at a really elite offense, and it's going to boost all of those guys.
Yeah, Varsho is a nice Wisconsin boy, so
yeah,
we do like that. All right, so you got Tyler O'Neill. We'll get to him in a second, but
yeah, I think with the Strider pick, I want to bolster my pitching just a little bit here. The only outfielder I have any interest in this range is Kerry Bonds, and I have enough. I love Tanner Bybee.
Okay.
And I think that he's a great value in the 11th round. And adding him to this 3-pitcher staff for the better part of the regular season contest. If I'm rolling in with Yamamoto, Nolo, and Bybee, I'm feeling really good. But to throw Strider in there too, like I know I pass on an infielder and outfielder, but I feel good enough about where my team is right now to go ahead and take the risk with Strider and then backfill another ace.
Okay, I like it. But no, let's get back to Tyler O'Neill. I've had a few people ask me what I think about Tyler O'Neill this year, and basically my answer is we know who Tyler O'Neill is.
Mm-hmm.
We know when he's healthy, he can smash. He's gonna miss time. At this point, I don't think it's like, what if he's healthy all year? I think that's just
No.
out of the equation.
Yep. You're just hoping he is unhealthy in May for a couple of weeks, and then he comes back and is fine. But they're moving the wall in Baltimore too, aren't they?
Yes. So that was the other thing I wanted to hit on. They're bringing the left field wall in, not as far as it was before, but slightly. So they're kind of middling it between the Mount Baltimore and the original design, which should be fine, good for him.
Yeah,
that's obviously a concern. A righty hitter in Baltimore, a mainly power hitter like him, but yeah, I think that's good.
I think it's definitely an offense upgrade too, in general. Like Baltimore's offense is going to be very, very fun to watch. I know they don't have Santander, and I don't know if they're going to re-sign him or whatever, but you would think maybe not with adding O'Neill to the lineup. They're probably out on him because they're going to want to give Kjerstad at bats and stuff like that. So Baltimore is going to be a very, very fun offense to watch, especially with these two guys who are going right now in this range. Jordan Westburg and Jackson Holliday in this range are very, very fun clicks, I think.
Yeah, I get the Holiday pick. Oh man, Lugo goes there. I haven't got much Lugo. I was kind of feeling him on this team. Someone I do have a lot of here, and kind of a super boring pick. I know I've railed against taking Stephen Kwan types, but I missed my pick. It's Jung-Hoo Lee. I don't know. I just think this price is really nice. I like him on this team. Let's look at infielders here. Let's do it. Let's take the upside. Let's take a Jackson Holliday here. I think he should be going 2 or 3 rounds later, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
I don't think
he was for a while.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think this year, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think the power comes this year. I think he could still figure something out and be the consistent player that we want out of him. But I'm having a hard time seeing the ceiling this year, which I'm probably going to be wrong.
He looked really good late in the year last year. He was kind of finding that stroke, but I think he started this contest in like the 180s or something, 170s, 180s. He was going really late, and I kind of missed it to start. So I was drafting him as he kind of climbed up the board. 130 feels a little risky, but Baltimore's a fun team to stack, and getting Westburg and him together is just kind of like a fun, let's have fun with the young guys type thing, even though we have absolutely no idea what to expect out of them at this point.
Yeah. I don't know. That was a spur of the moment. I've not taken him, I don't think, at all.
He's not a guy I want 0 of, but he's not a guy I want 30% on either,
Yeah, I think if you believe in him, that this is still a great price, though, too, this season. Guys, I was hoping to get a better price on also Jonathan India, who has always been, or last year was a late pick to add on to your Cincinnati stacks. I didn't know going to Kansas City could boost you that much. Going out of Great American Ballpark,
I guess.
I mean, playing time, leadoff hitter, it's all available to him if that's who he's going to be in Kansas City. but I thought he'd be going 160, 180, not 134.
Yeah. Yeah, he I don't know. He was one of those guys that, like, coming into the contest, I was like, all right, I definitely want to take a peek at him. And then I saw his price and I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and take one of my favorite picks in the entire draft, and that's Evan Carter.
Ooh.
I've already
Okay.
said that back issues kind of scare me, which I'm pretty sure his was a back thing. I'm starting to get players mixed up, but
nope, it was. You're right.
This was a guy who was going around like pick 50 last year at certain points. And that price was a little crazy, I think. But Texas is one of my favorite teams, period, to draft in this contest. I think all of them except for Wyatt are too cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Seager's appropriately priced, but Carter, Young, now we've got Jake Berger in Texas, which is a nice little upgrade for him. Evan Carter feels like one of those guys who could just crush you if you don't have any of them in the 12th round. That's just kind of where I'm at on him right now.
Okay. I am not an Evan Carter fan.
Okay.
Platoon bat, limited power. I think
is he going to platoon, or is that like?
Well, I think that's. Worried? I don't know if he is. I don't know the team. I haven't deep dived into that. I'll let you make your pick, but
okay.
I haven't done a deep dive into the Texas roster, but I think that's what he profiled as to begin with.
I don't really love this Berger price, but I want to start working him in just because I have so many Texas stacks. So I'm going to go ahead and just pair him with Evan Carter.
Okay. The name
to your point, if Carter is a platoon bat, then he's probably a pretty bad click there. But I feel like they're just going to have him hopefully play every day, and if he's an everyday outfielder, I think he's going to be great.
Fair enough. The one guy you haven't mentioned there is Marcus Semien. I think.
Oh yeah.
He's a guy who has thrived on volume for a long time in terms of his fantasy upside. And I think the skills kind of fell off last year.
And even so, let me look up his totals from last year. Even so, he put up 1,300 points.
Yeah.
Like, it was a bad season. And, paying that price, it would have, wound up not working out. But, he's going at 56 right now. And I kind of always forget about him. Mm-hmm. But, if you're building Texas stacks, I definitely think he's a guy you want as part of the picture. Because if that offense thrives, I mean, he's more than likely going to be a pretty big reason for it.
Fair enough. I'm sad to say that I also don't have any Corey Seager much. I'm having a hard time. Maybe I'm buying I'm drinking the can't stay healthy Kool-Aid finally. It's just, I love the dude, love him as a hitter. I don't know. Sports hernia last year, missed some time. I don't remember what else he missed time for, to be honest, but it's kind of piling up.
Yeah, it's getting difficult to watch him be hurt year over year.
Yeah.
But he's one of those guys with those injury concerns that if he happens to stay healthy, okay, or if he does go down and just goes down in like May, right? When he's on the field, he in particular is very capable of putting up a ton of points in a hurry. Because when he gets hot, he's just absolutely white hot. So I do have quite a bit of Seager. I think I'm around, I'll look, I think it's around 24% right now, actually. I'll take a peek.
Okay.
But I'm just buying into I think he's a great hitter, and just cross my fingers and hope he stays healthy. 31.
Did you say 21? Sorry.
31.
31. Okay.
Yeah. It's a little higher than I'd like, but whatever. It's early.
All right, man. I was all ready for Zach Neto this year. The shoulder surgery has me sad.
Same.
I was ready for the year that people knew who Zach Neto was. All right, so I'm at 3, 4, 5. Well, we didn't build in innings for a reason, for no reason. Oh man, he's gonna kill me again, Jason.
He's gonna crush my soul this year. I'm convinced.
All right. Let's take another pitcher here. I haven't taken any Mitch Keller. I still think he is perfectly capable of spike weeks.
I like it.
I'd like it if Pittsburgh moved him to a better team. This price is completely fine.
It really is. I'm glad that Ryan McMahon is getting his respect, because I feel like nobody knew who he was the last couple of years, and he's just going to put up between 1,100 and 1,200 points. That's just kind of what he's going to do. But that's not enough to draft him at 158. He was a guy I was in on bigly last year because you could get him for free.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that the bat had you taking like 6 rounds higher than he was going.
Yep. Matt Chapman was another guy that the bat was screaming at for us to take. And I was like, all right, I'll listen. And I had, I think 30-something% last year of him. And that worked out wonderfully for me.
Yeah. But jumping back to Woodruff, they already said he's not going to be ready for the start of the year. And I keep taking him, and shoulder surgery and age but but what if?
But Brewers pixie dust with pitching,
Right.
Yeah, that report did not make me smile. It made me laugh at myself, but it didn't make me smile because it's just, here we go again. But that kind of leads me to believe, like, if he's not there for opening day, is he going to miss more than just a couple starts? Like, I mean, if he misses 2 or 3 starts, whatever, that shouldn't hurt you. You should have 5 or 6 other pitchers who can get you something for a couple of weeks.
Right.
But
you read past the headline and it says he's still on track. So which part are you? The headline says he's not ready for opening day, or he's not going to be a starter on an opening day, but the details say he's on track. So, which part of that is true? Where is he actually at? I don't know. He could be going 20th round once we get news on him, like in spring, and he's not pitching all spring, and he's still having shoulder issues. His velo's down. He could be a terrible pick. But I'm going to keep doing it because I like pain. He's my Mike Trout.
There you go. Yes, embrace the pain. I mean, you can always back off. We're drafting on December 14th, and more news is going to come out. We can always back off these guys, but I like having conviction on some guys and just saying, I'm going to be right. And if I happen to be wrong, it's just one player on this batch of teams that I can get away from. That's kind of how I try to rationalize clicking guys like, not Mike Trout specifically, but like Brandon Woodruff.
Yeah.
Because Mike Trout's not going to get hurt. He's going to be healthy the entire season. He's going to play 150 games. So that's perfect. That's what's going on. Just letting you know.
Perfect. All right. You took Taj Bradley there, and now
we're going to keep going with the Texas stack. Josh Young, wrist issues, not pretty, but he was going to win Rookie of the Year in 2023 until he got hurt. Yeah. He is mega talented. I think he's a great hitter and a great offense, and it's just one of those guys. I'm going to cross my fingers and just hope he's healthy, because if he is, I'm convinced that he is a great pick in the 15th round.
Yeah, I like it. I was big on him last year. Texas has kind of been a blind spot to me. I'll be honest. That's probably wrong because they had a down year, but they won the World Series the previous year. Hard to forget that, or it's so easy to forget that. Actually, is what I'm mean to say.
Yeah, they definitely are the cheapest from what I've found so far and how I'm drafting. I believe that they're the cheapest offense that could be the most elite. If that makes any sense. Like
Sure.
Atlanta, we all know they can be elite, but you're still paying a pretty penny for all of them. Most of these Texas guys are, they're just kind of tucked away. And I think people have forgotten how good they were 2 years ago. And it's mostly the same cast of characters with Wyatt Langford thrown in. So.
And Berger,
Mm-hmm.
who's, going to be highly motivated compared to being on the Marlins.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The psychology is up there.
Yeah. Getting off the Marlins and onto a contending team has got to be a little bit of a jolt.
Okay. Let's just make this the Dodgers super stack.
Do it.
Let's take Edman and Muncy. And then our infield is super Dodgers. I don't love putting this many guys on the same team at the same position. But yeah, let's do it.
I don't either, but if you're going to do it, the Dodgers are a pretty good team to do it with. Right. I know it's very, very early, but I know a few people have been looking at schedules. And to your point of like drafting, 4 guys from the same team or from one spot, you don't want a week where they only get 5 games, right?
Right.
But I don't put an enormous amount of stock in the schedule as a whole, but the number of games that the teams play in the playoffs is very, very critical. And this year we don't get many Coors games in the playoffs, so I feel like that's an edge that we're not really going to be able to tap into this year because they're away in a lot of those big weeks, and I think the Reds are the same.
Okay, that's interesting. I have not looked at schedule at all for playoff rounds.
Yeah, don't take that as gospel. But I feel like kind of the chatter, and
I just texted my mom that. So
perfect, good.
It's got to be true.
Okay,
I don't lie to my mom, Jason.
When she wins it all because the Rockies aren't at home, just give me a hat tip at least.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
All right. This range, this round, like 16, 17, I don't like a lot of stuff in this round. This is where I'm probably going to start getting a little funky because like Tanner Houck is fine, but I don't really like the strikeouts. I'd like more strikeouts from a pitcher. I've got quite a bit of Bryce Terang. How do you feel about that? How's Bryce Terang?
You gotta hope he steals a bunch of bags this year.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
50. What did he end up with? 50? Yeah. You gotta hope for 40 plus bags out of him because there's no power. There's runs, there's no RBIs.
Yeah, this is just ugly. I'm not drafting Cal. I don't know. Alec Burleson. Let's do it. Whatever. This range is brutal. I don't trust Pivetta to throw innings when you really need him to. Christopher Sanchez is a fine pitcher, but I don't like the strikeouts. Same with Hawk.
Yep.
Chris Bassett, I feel like, is kind of in that same boat. I don't know if Shane Baz is going to throw enough innings. There's a lot here that's just kind of like, just hold your nose.
Yeah. I think in this group, I'm taking Cal Raleigh and not loving it. I'm taking Pena if I'm stacking Houston. I like Jake McCarthy as a hidden gem here.
Okay.
We saw some power last year in short spurts, but I feel like he's played his way into an everyday role this year. If he finds some power to go with the speed, I think he's an interesting option.
Okay.
But otherwise, I agree. I mean, Xander is fine. I have no idea what to expect out of Spencer Torkelson this year.
Oh, man, I have some PTSD from last year with him. I was drafting him a lot, really, really late in drafts, and I mean that just did not go well. I'm going to roll the dice with Jesus Luzardo here.
Okay.
Health is a concern. He pitches in a good park. He's one of those guys that seems like he's either just terrible or he has one of those starts that's like, oh, this guy is actually good, which is perfect for the game that we play. Like, we don't care if he's terrible for 1 week necessarily. It's those spike weeks that we want. So again, this range of players in general is pretty ugly. So I'm going to probably spread out with some Luzardo. I've got some Walker Buehler. I'm getting a little Nick Lodolo. I have a ton of Gavin Williams. But I don't know. Luzardo just feels like a higher upside guy than what you can find in the 17th round.
He rumors today Cubs are interested in him. That says to me that they think he's going to be healthy.
Okay.
They seem to be trying to put together a competitive team this year with, this. We haven't even talked about the Kyle Tucker trade, which is still blows my mind. Like, Kyle Tucker is, it's hard to use the word underrated because I feel like in fantasy circles, Kyle Tucker is known, but like Kyle Tucker superstar potential is like underrated. Like,
yeah, he's underappreciated for sure.
Yeah.
So
what's up, Billy?
And the other side of that with Isaac Paredes going to Houston is, I mean, he just went at 177 in this draft, and he's in the late 180s for ADP. I have virtually none of him, but you better bet I'm going to be getting quite a bit of him now because he's a Deadpool hitter, and that ballpark is just beautiful for Deadpool righties.
Yeah, absolutely. I am anti Isaac Paredes in all aspects until now.
Yep. I was not gonna go there in Wrigley, but Houston's a different beast. So I'm not gonna be like terribly overweight on him, but he's definitely got more appeal than he did 3 days ago.
All right, Matt. Matt's getting excited here. Andrew Painter, 202. I can't do that, but good for you.
Yeah. I agree. I'm not bold enough to do that either, but you do you, man. I love when people do stuff like that, especially like you can get away with it in this contest because ADP, especially in these late rounds, means virtually nothing. Like, go get your guys because if he's right, it's going to be good.
All right. What we got? We're scrolling. We're going to scroll back up. I don't know. Let's take Chris Bassett here. That's all I can say about Chris Bassett. We're going to take him here.
Perfect.
I've been fitting in Bowden Francis. Let's fill in our seventh pitcher. You mentioned him, Nick Lodolo, not Chris Lodolo. That's Chris Bassett and Nick Lodolo, who are we'll just call them the opposite ends of the spectrum, right there. Chris Bassett, his pick 200 for I forget. Chris Baseball had an excellent joke last year that Chris Bassett is the same ADP every year, and he's fine every year at that ADP. Kind of had a down year last year. Didn't accumulate as much as even we'd want for an accumulator. And Nick Lodolo is always hurt, but he is.
There's strikeouts in that arm, though.
Exactly.
And, we've seen a high strikeout pitcher. He's not as high of a strikeout pitcher as Hunter Green, but we've seen a high strikeout pitcher be successful in that ballpark because Hunter Green did it last year. I'm not saying Nick Lodolo is Hunter Green, but, you miss a lot of bats. You can do okay in hitter-friendly ballparks. Just like you said, he's always hurt.
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm like. My face I was making about the Kyle Tucker trade is I just can't imagine this Astros lineup right now. I don't get it. I don't get it. No Bregman. It doesn't seem like they're like super favorites to sign. Like that, I thought Bregman would go back. They tried to run it back, but this Tucker trade has got me completely rethinking what the Astros want to do this year. And
I just don't understand how you let a player like that go. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
I mean, I understand how our teams let players like that go,
yeah.
but I don't understand how the Astros let a player like that go.
No, I mean, you've had sustained, what was it, like 6 or 7 straight years in the ALCS? Like, you guys have money. We know that you have money. You can afford to sign Kyle Tucker. You just don't want to for some reason. And I can't fathom letting a player that good just walk away. It's mind-blowing to me.
I mean, Springer, Bregman,
yeah.
they re-signed Altuve. Like now Tucker, Bregman, this year both seeming like they're going to be gone. Just it doesn't fit the Astros that I want to think exist.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, I interrupt. I did not let you talk there. Gavin Williams. You said you have a ton of him?
I do. I have a ton of him. Yep. He just feels like value at this late in the draft. Cleveland has a history of churning out great pitchers. He looked great in the postseason, I believe, last year. He did have an injury last year for a little bit, but he averages a strikeout per inning. He's got really, really good stuff. He kind of reminds me a little bit of like Bobby Miller to a point, which isn't exactly a ringing endorsement on the year that Bobby Miller had. But I don't know. When I look at the pitchers that are in this range, I'm kind of just planting my flag that like Gavin Williams is the guy here who's going to throw the innings and it's going to be fine. That's really all it is.
I get it.
And then for my next trick, I'm going to go ahead and draft some Yainer Diaz here.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. As more and more guys drop out of that Houston lineup, Yainer Diaz seems like he is primed for playing time.
Yeah. And this team, going into that pick, I had a 7-5-6 build. And at the time, the infield was Bryce Harper, Albies, Royce Lewis, Jake Berger, Josh Young. I don't necessarily love that infield, and I think there's a lot of risk so far. Kind of taking the plunge with, a young Yainer Diaz in a lineup that even without Kyle Tucker and probably Alex Bregman, like I think their lineup's still going to be fine. But like you said, as people keep dropping out, his spot in the order is going to get better and better. I mean, if I had to guess, he's probably going to bat 5th at this point, right? Or right in that range.
Yeah. The question for me, continuing off the Houston discussion, is there an outfielder? Like it feels like there is room. And this is a lesson I'm trying to take from last year, the Jerks and Profile lesson, we'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
Even kind of the Jackson Merrill lesson. Both of those guys, going even into late into spring training. Padres, good looking lineup, but they have all this playing time available at outfield. Houston, what are they going to do? Is going to be Myers and Chas McCormick again? It just doesn't seem like. It seems like there is a place. There's a black hole there of playing time that somebody could fill and be relevant this year.
Yeah, and the note for Jordan on Underdog so far is, questioning if he's going to see less action in left field for 2025, which he probably should.
Right.
So, I've got Houston pulled up here. Their outfielders eligible on this site are Alvarez, Chas McCormick, Mauricio Dubon, Jake Myers, and then you got to go all the way to Taylor Trammell.
Just a scrap heap guy.
Yeah, like, are we going to try to do? I had quite a bit of Chas McCormick last year, and it just did not work out. But somebody has to play the outfield. So is Chas McCormick maybe the guy who, really struggled last year after having a pretty decent 2023, who they're just going to have to play? And with that playing time comes more value. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a possibility there. I'm going to take one of my favorite late round picks in Jock Peterson. What if it's Jock Peterson? What if he's the guy there?
That would make a lot of sense.
But it doesn't make a ton of sense if Jordan's going to DH a lot.
That's true. That's true.
And this one's for you.
Yes, do it.
Let's do it. Let's build
He's inevitable.
Garrett. Let's see. We are at 7-6. Yeah, let's do it.
I think he fits.
You're on it. You're here. You're on the screen. We're going to take Garrett Mitchell.
Let's do it. At this point, it's like almost a bit. Like, there's nothing that I've seen necessarily that leads me to believe that Garrett Mitchell's the guy. It's just, I remember once upon a time he was picked in the first round by a team, and it's like, maybe he breaks out this year. And outfield is horrible in the 19th and 20th round. So I'm just guessing he's the guy.
Yeah, I mean, the right answer is probably an infielder here, but I couldn't resist with you on the stream to take Garrett Mitchell. I mean, somewhere not too high in the range of outcomes is that he's not even on the team, that he's part of a trade to get a third baseman or whatever.
Which you would hope that, maybe the Brewers are like, hey, Rockies, we would really like Ryan McMahon. And so they trade Garrett Mitchell to the Rockies, and now he plays every day, and we're at the bank, with a line of people waiting to receive us because we're so rich.
I think that they would really like Sal Frelick instead. If we're gonna dream up my personal dream scenarios, that we get Ryan McMahon and Sal Frelick is not on the team and dribbling the ball everywhere, I'm a happy man.
Yeah. I never really got the Sal Frelick thing, honestly. Like, I think he's a fine, like, real baseball player. Maybe not offensively, but for fantasy purposes, I never bought in. I never got it.
All right, I'm gonna admit my ignorance here. I had to look up who Matt Shaw is. He is a Chicago Cubs prospect. They got second base, third base, shortstop listed on him on Fangraphs. 50 full value, 60 raw power, 60 speed. Okay. I trust Dr. Juice. Dr. Juice is a deep roto player in the roto world, so I'm going to trust him to know the player pool a little more deeper than I am. So that's a name I'm going to have to look up in terms of potential playing time this year.
Okay. With this last round pick, it's been almost exclusively infielder for me.
Okay.
Carlos Correa feels like a guy who could end you if you have 0 this late.
Okay.
There's a lot of injury concern there. I will never stop my irrational love for Brandon Lau, even though his back is always hurting him. But I'm going to draft a guy I have none of, and I'm going to fix that because he is now a Colorado Rocky.
Oh, all right.
Thairo Estrada.
Speaking of, Crew saying here that Chas McCormick owes him money. Thairo Estrada owes me some money also.
Yes,
so.
he owes me quite a bit of money as well. Yeah, I had a lot of him last year, but him going to Colorado on a 4-year deal, and Brendan Rodgers is gone. Like, he's obviously going to play every day. So,
I'm sorry though. This whole the series of events couldn't be any more Rockies. Brendan Rodgers is gone. You get rid of him. You sign Kyle Farmer. You're like, no, we don't. He's, Kyle Farmer. He's going to be our super utility guy. Let's get Thairo Estrada, a guy who had a supremely down year after one good year. Yeah, let's do that. Just like shuffling the boards on the Titanic, or the deck chairs on the Titanic.
Yeah, it's the Rockies are an interesting organization. Let's just leave it there.
All right, so let's run down these teams here. I ended up going 7-6-7. Framber, Logan Webb, Grayson Rodriguez, Brandon Woodruff, Mitch Keller, Chris Bassett, Nick Lodolo. Combination of past innings and guys we hope are healthy and have upside. My infield is Dodgers heavy with Betts, Freeman, William Contreras, Jackson Holiday as a middle flyer there, Tommy Edman, and Max Muncy to round it off. Outfield, pretty boring outfield. I don't know that this is a super exciting one. We did not go super early on our outfield picks when we started with the 2 Dodgers, but we got Riley Green, Teoscar Hernandez, speculating that he is going to go back to the Dodgers in our super Dodgers stack. Christian Yelich, George Springer, Jung-Hoo Lee, Jock Peterson, and your favorite, Garrett Mitchell.
My guy
right.
For virtually no reason. All right.
I'll let you run down your team here.
Okay. I had the second overall pick. I went with a 7-7-6 build. So the pitching staff is Yamamoto, Nola, Strider, Tanner Bybee, Taj Bradley, Jesus Luzardo, and Gavin Williams. Infield, Bryce Harper, Ozzie Albies, Royce Lewis, Jake Berger, Josh Young, Yainer Diaz, and Thairo Estrada. And then the outfield, Aaron Judge, Jackson Merrill, Luis Robert Jr., Tyler O'Neill, Evan Carter, and Alec Burleson. So self-criticism on this team. I really like this pitching staff if Luzardo hits or Gavin Williams hits. I just need enough juice to get to when Spencer Strider is healthy.
Yeah.
I don't particularly love the infield, but there's a lot of upside here. There's definitely a lot of risk. And the outfield looks fun. So
yeah, outfield is by far your strength on this team.
Yeah.
And I think
which is the case most of the time for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was excellent. It was awesome to talking to you, Jason. I always enjoy it.
Same, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm sure this is not the last time we'll team up this year. It was a lot of fun. Thanks as always for having me on, man. Really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, we will be chatting again, I am sure. It is nice to have you back in the baseball streets. It does not feel like December anymore to me. I'm in. I started a couple of roto drafts. One of my slow roto drafts I'm going to do. I'm back from the dog bowl and I'm ready to draft baseball. The news is hitting every day. I'm ready. I mean, that's relative because we still have months before
Yes.
But I'm back in it. So thank you everyone for watching tonight or in the future. Stay tuned to this channel. Friday we'll be doing more of a dog bowl recap. We're going to have not just the first place, but we're going to have first place, second place, and third place all in the dog bowl and one place here on this channel, reminiscing about our wonderful weekend last week. Viper and Pat are going to be joining me, and maybe a shorter episode, but we'll be if you want to reminisce with us from 2 weeks ago, we'll be enjoying our winnings together. But after that, we'll be back and drafting bullpens here. If you're not already following Stacking Dingers, go follow that. Substack is stackingdingers.com. Get all that straight into your inbox. Hopefully we'll have some written stuff soon, not just the episodes. We'll get ranks eventually. And that episode this week is going to be interesting. We're going to be really doing a beginner to deep dive in pitching statistics. So that should be interesting with a really special guest, which we'll just tease that right here. So for Jason and myself, get in those baseball streets and let's fill the bullpen, because I've heard we have $1 million prize pool dinger to fill after. So
that sounds great.
Let's get there. All right, everyone have a good weekend.
See you guys.